just a recap of what we have covered last time. We have covered system LED. They run at different types of LED, which are operated in STU and as troubleshooting steps. What are the different types of alarms and how to check on the CLI what kind of alarms has been generated. And we went through fault management, photo threshold, and we went through Mac learning, and we went through GNS or GPS alarm checks. Then we went through PTP port status. I think this is where we stopped it. But I think even PTP port status we have covered, explaining on the different scenarios on how PTP checks are being done. And so Narendra, last time you asked question. Let me post the question. So last time the question was how is the Mac learning for Bridge 1 logic it is used. The last time the question was why only on one interface the MAC address is being learned, whereas on the other interface there was no other MAC address which are learned. So the question is, that was the question. So the question is, last time when I showed you the STU, there was only one uplink interface which is connected to the NRTA. So there are no downlinks like ORU which are connected. So that's the reason why we have seen only the sessions, management sessions on the ETH1 interface. Whereas in this case, you can see there are ORUs which are connected to other interfaces as well. So you can see the Mac learning on this particular interface.
Can you share that screen last, Mac learning screen? If you don't
Yeah, I'll show you. Okay, this is the one I showed you last time. It is, Narendra, it is actually the same logic which we use in Cisco search is being used here. And I was not able to explain because of the topology. See, if you check the topology here, there is only one uplink interface which is connected to the tower, which is up. Okay. So there is only one uplink to the tower which is up. This one, we don't have any ORUs connected to this STU. We don't have any ORUs connected to the STU. And that's the reason why we were able to receive MAC address on this particular ETH0/1 interface. Whereas in this case, this STU, you can see different interfaces. Let me show you the connected. You can see the uplink interface which is up, and you can see ETH0/6 and 7 and 12 and 13. And from that interface, the MAC address is being learned. So it is based on the source MAC address learning, the MAC address table is populated. So it is similar to a switch, so nothing different as of now. For example, you can use MAC address lookup. Sorry, due to the VPN, it is slow. So if you see this neck device, which is connected to 750 VLAN, This is also NEC. This is TAR. These are all Cisco TAR device. And ED0/13. Let me check this. It is airspan device. So likewise, it is simply populating based on the source address on the MAC address table. Whereas here the topology is entered, there is nothing which is connected on the downstream. There's only one uplink. So it's just the management traffic which is just come up here and nothing else. So you have any questions on this logic?
Yeah, that is fine. Thanks for sharing that information. A small doubt. In-use timings are different. Uh, how do we read this in-use option?
With in-use is actually so this in-use timings depends on the data traffic which is flowing. So let's say source MAC address A, source MAC address B. If both are sending the data traffic, then if it would that would, let's say if it is continuously being sent, then that would time would be recorded here. But if there is no data traffic for 5 minutes, I think the timeout value is 5 minutes and it will be erased out of MAC address table on the STU.
So in production, we have to see in seconds only. That means.
Yes.
So can we log in, if you don't mind, one of production STU, the world integrated production one?
Old integrated production one. Mm, sorry, I don't have access to the production. Um, I have only Kiba lab devices. If somebody can share the production one, I can.
Yeah, let me log in one of the production one. This is the update from production. But one more doubt: if it is in use is using one, then ETH 0/16 in use should be in seconds only every time, because other traffic is going through ETH 0. Sorry, ETH 3.
No, in use is something which is completely, the complete. If 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 the source A and MAC A and MAC B are having communication without a stopgap of 5 minutes, then uh, it would be 4 hours. Let's say if it is not, if it is sending frequently without 5 minutes interval, then it would continue to increment. Narendra. So if there is no communication between MAC A and MAC B for more than 5 minutes, then it will be aged out and it will be removed.
Yeah, still it is confusing internally. You see, the port in ETH 0/16 is a CPI STU, FPGA link. So the whole radio unit traffic goes in ETH 16.
Correct.
connecting a camera. So any one of the radio it will be sending the data. Then these 4 hours in use, I could not able to understand.
No, this is communication between any of the downstream device or the upstream device to the RIU. So if you check the RIU MAC address, if you do a packet capture, then RIU MAC and any communication, any device which is communicating with the RIU. So that communication is listed here, and that is being used here for around 4 hours and 25 minutes and 13 seconds.
So is it possible to
For example, you can check here ETH 0/16, which is the RIU, ETH 0/3, which might be a NEC device. So that communication is happening, and that is why the timing is same for both 8H16 and 0A0/3. If you do a MAC address lookup, I think it should be 720 should be ORU. Can you do a MAC address lookup?
CLI, please?
Uh, no, no. Can you share the MAC address? FA116. Can you put it in the chat?
This makeup. Okay, this
Or
one.
yeah,
This
that's one. Yeah, send the both MAC address to me. Yeah, in the chat. Just a moment. So it's between the RIU and D096. Yes, the communication is same because the downlink ET0/3, which is connected to the ORU, is communicating with the RIM manager, which is the RIU. That's why the timing is same for both. And it is learning ORU via ET0/3 MAC address, which is based on the source MAC address listing. And ETH0/16 is connected to the RIM manager, which is the RIU. And based on the source MAC address learning, it has listed the RIU MAC address.
Yeah, that I understood. Thanks for sharing that info. Only doubt is when this particular MAC address is getting refreshed, or last update, in use update is 10 minutes before. So in the same way, other Mac also it is all getting refreshed. Are these are refreshing just due to traffic flow, or some another issue? That is a concern, because in while troubleshooting, lot of confusing questions why will come out. So
Mhm.
that time we should be aware. That's why we are asking you.
So as I said, it is based on the MAC communication. So this timing will get incremented based on the MAC communication between source A and source B. Supposing if there are no MAC communication for more than 5 minutes, then this will be timed out. And if you observed any peculiar cases, you can let me know. Probably I check it out and then revert. So right now, what specific issues have you observed?
We are in initial ignite stage. Maybe sometime later we may come out with kind of queries. Anyhow,
Hmm.
let's keep in a point with you wherever possible. If we have any kind of deep dive investigation, let us know, please.
Okay, because the logic is same. Um, Source A to source B, if there is MAC communication happening without 5 minutes break, then the time will increment. If there is no MAC communication, let's say for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then that would be paced out. There will not be in use time in it.
Even some Mac IDs, the first line, it is showing 3 hours.
Mhm.
Um, if
So
we
that means ETA0/3 is communicating with some other device for around 3 hours 40 minutes. Can you check any other time with the 3 hours 40 minutes on the same table?
the highlighted one 52 minutes.
52 minutes. Hmm.
The below one is 2 hours 42 minutes.
2 hours 42 minutes 53 seconds. So these are all management traffic ends. This will be so a single device, this ET0/3, I think it is connected to, it might communicate over different VLANs, VLAN 500, 600, 720. So that is why it is listed as in use time. You would have got a, you would not, so it would have given you a brief idea if it is clearly stated the source MAC address and destination MAC address. Like Cisco switch, you could have checked the communication. Here it is quite confusing because this is a different ZEP OS and you're seeing only MAC address being lent on the source interface. So the logic is same.
Okay. Anyhow,
But, but
as
if you
we
observe any issues, but if you want observe any issues, you can take a packet capture and that will show you whatever communications which are happening from a particular MAC.
is it possible to test packet capture now in ETH
No, no, no.
0
That
and
you need to require tax support only. So I would not propose to do packet capture in production. So you, in case of
we'll
any,
select one of the the trouble site and go ahead with the tech support sometime later.
that in that way, if you approach me, I can show you how communication is happening between two source MAC address and how that is being established. I can show you all the source
Or
MAC
we
address
can
details
select
because
one.
here the logic being used is source MAC address, the entry of the source MAC address, that entry is made, and how long the duration that is made. If the Dasan device has given you this is the source MAC address, this is the destination MAC address it is communicating with, and the time, what is the time frame if it is given, then it would be easy for you to understand from an user perspective, but attacker aware of it. If there is any issues, we'll be able to find out. But unfortunately, I can't recommend packet capture for SXC team until unless it comes, we request some higher approval also.
Approvals will take care, no issue
But
on that.
not production. Not production. I don't.
Understood. If at all any newly
But
integrated site,
you,
same day we can disturb if it
yeah,
is
you can get in touch with me offline. If there is any test STU, probably I'll show you how it is, how the communication is happening.
okay. I'll sync up with you. Then we will
Because
start
this
the
is causing confusion, because if the MAC address table has the source destination MAC, you will not be confused. So that's the reason.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, Vinod, you can carry on to your pending PDF activities and try to touch upon on to the important items maybe because we have very limited time today.
And this is the PTP alarms, how the PTP alarms are checked So what are the commands that you need to check whether the port is PTP status or not? Sharing my full screen. Let me share. You can show PTP. You can show PTP status, PTP port to check different port status, whether it is a master or a slave, depending on the logic. And you can use, I think these commands are already, you must be aware, show interface, so average type, show PTP statistics will show you what are the PTP messages which are received on a particular interface. I'll show you this. The number of unknowns, sync, follow, these are PTP messages. So you can see whether there are transmission which is in the PTP message or say exchange between two devices. These gets incremented. These is the unknowns message follow up delay request will get incremented. This is the logic. And if you want to check in case of any issues, if you want to clear the statistics, you can use PTP clear statistics, and then you can check the counters whether the STU is learning PTP messages or not. And you can check always the PTP configuration. And, so if you can see, these are the PTP config, so it should be present. This means that this interface supports both PTP messages and sync key messages. And these are normal L2 VLANs which are being configured on a particular interface. And this is the running config. In case if you have configured only L2 and if there is no PTP messages, then this particular interface will not support any PTP messages. So here you will see 000 and it will show you something which is not written. So these two are most important for the PTP messages to learn. So supposing in production, if you say one of the device is not PTP logged, first you have to check the configuration. If there is any switching configuration available, VLANs allowed. Next, you have to check the PTP configuration and the mode of transport which are used. Without this, the PTP messages will not work. PTP clock state is same. PTP clock state is used to verify if the device is PTP locked or not. This is PTP locked. This is PTP locked because we have GNS is in lock state. So the PP, so as you know, the PTP uses GNS as reference clock source. So since the GNS is locked, the PTP is locked. In case if the GNS is unlocked, then it will show GNS is unlocked here. It is PTP will not be operational. Okay. Same sync key alarm. So as you see, sync key, how to check whether the sync key is enabled on a particular device or not. You can use show sync key. It is no log because right now the PTP it is running via PTP, so sync key is not here. And there is alternative to check. What are the types of PTP ports we are using? One is GNS and PTP and oscillator. And sync key interface, sync key input sources, output sources is to check the sync key details. So we cannot capture, but here we have captured how the sync key details are enabled. And these are the sync key clock status. It will show you different types of sync key, which will be operating in normal mode unless and until there is a failover, you enable sync key. And this is to show the show interface status. In case if you want to check the counters on a particular interface, you can check this. What are the different types of sync key counters, and what is the hold off time, and whether the particular interface is supporting Sync or not. And these are performance management of the STU. You can check the port traffic, what is the object number of packets, and these will be useful. And I have just listed certain normal issues, SSH issues, or troubleshooting cases. We have just listed troubleshooting cases, it will be helpful for you. So let's say if the STU is up, and when you try to log into SSH, you receive a device called SSH known host. In such cases, you have to, from your jump server, you have to just remove this known host file, and then if you try to re-log in, you will not get this error. So this is one of the most predominant cases of issues which will happen when you're in production. So no need to panic. You don't have to reboot the device. You just have to delete the known host from your jump server, and then you can log in again. So let's say if you are not able to reach STU over a VPN, then predominantly it might be an issue with STU to AG routing. It might be an issue with AG NRTAR connectivity. So if you are not able to reach STU to AG, then the interface which is connected to the STU is ETH1/1. ETH1/1 is the uplink which is connected to the STU, and you have to check all the interface, whether this interfaces are up or not, whether the NRTAR is up, whether the AG side routing is up. So yeah, you can do a end-to-end trace from STU to AG, from AG to STU, in order to check the inter-VLAN routing. So the port link status and other status you can check the L2 connectivity. This is one of the troubleshooting method.
Vinod, sorry to jump in this STU not reachable case. Recently, we have found some STUs are not reachable and not pingable as well. When we check in from Tor end, port is operational, and one of VLAN MAC ID is learning. That is 520 only lent. That is data path. Management part not lent MAC in frontal Tor. Do you have any idea what is RC?
Frontal Tor, it is not learned.
Frontal
What about the?
It is lent only one VLAN out of three VLANs.
One second, let me answer that, Vinod. Narendra, so 520 VLAN is not in the front hall, right? That's a part of a mid hall VLAN, right? 520, 720 and 520 are getting swapped at the TOR side towards VDU, one towards the front hall. So if you're learning 520, that is towards the server side, not towards the front hall side.
But when the port is down, this 520 also will go off.
520, you are learning from server side. Because at the TOR, 520 and 720 VLANs are getting swapped.
Agree. I agree with you and continue. If it is not related to STU connectivity, when my STU is really switched off or some link broken towards STU from frontal TOR or edge TOR, I can't able to see this 520 VLAN length status. That is also one problem. So now on link broken cases, what all VLANs shows in frontal TOR and what all VLANs will not show? That is the question.
The VLANs which are passcodes. Yeah, Rajesh.
Yes, Narendra, what is the question? What are you asking?
Um, in front altar, recently we have observed STU connectivity is operational. I mean, the port is up, and
Okay.
only one VLAN 520 VLAN lent, and other two VLANs are not lent. So, as a restoration process, field visit is done. Just they rebooted STU, and the site was operational, and all
So
ACLANs.
that data traffic has not been processed. That's why you're not getting that VLAN 520. This video communication between your RIU to your video compute server. So maybe that is learn. I don't think that that's the case, but if you're saying that only 520 is learning, so you understand that the data traffic is not flowing. That's why you are
Rajesh, the concern is when my port is down in Tor,
okay.
all VLANs, all three VLANs will not be MACLANT.
Correct. That will
So,
be the case. Correct.
okay, now the condition is the port is operational, STU is not reachable is the first level status, and when we verify in Tor side, only 520 VLAN is lent. I don't know why it is lent, etc. So
Narendra, when you say three VLANs, those are 500, 600, and 720. So those, that is correct only. Those three are not learning because those three are towards front hall side, means towards base station.
Correct.
So you are not learning. That is a correct situation.
Obviously, it will be
520
the same.
VLAN is nothing to do with the front hall. That VLAN is from Tor towards server VDU. So when you are still learning means the video connectivity towards that Tor is fine. But from Tor towards STU, the connectivity is not fine because you are not learning any MAC address or any VLAN from STU towards your front hall Tor.
yeah,
And
so you
and
said
and
right.
also and also Narendra, when I believe one of the engineers also visited, right, the Dasan engineer, they confirmed that the power levels was down, optical power level, because of that issue has occurred. That is one case. Second case, in few of the cases Altiostar has confirmed they have a bug. I don't have any bug ID, but they already confirmed the bug. Maybe you can confirm with Bucci Reddy or somebody from Altiostar because they have taken the logs during that incident also. So the bug, what that will do, that is a memory leak issue or which causes STU for the kernel panic because of the memory leak in the RIU FPGA. So that the Altiostar will fix in their next release. That is confirmed by them. So these
So
are the two different issues basically.
thank you. Actually, if that bug is exist, so every time we have to visit and give the STU reboot.
Yeah, because
Okay.
STU OS and STU kernel get panicked because of that issue, because of memory leak from the RIU FPGA.
Okay. I'll check with the
So
Altiostar. Thank
STU
you.
will get into hung state, so you are not able to log in into STU. So the best way to check is first to check what is the status at the Tor. Check with Altiostar what is their build of RIU and VCU video build, so that when you have these two three confirmation, then only it's diligence that you can take for engineer to go on the site. If you know this is caused because of this issue, then at least you isolate the issue.
So this is
And because I don't know whether you are in touch with Kushal or some other people, because there's another group in the Viber going on where they get field engineer to visit on the site basically to reboot the STU. Once that bug is, I believe, is fixed from Altiostar, then it should not happen any longer in the STU, that particular issue. Are you talking about those, right? These were the two issues
Yeah. Yes.
basically.
Yeah. I'll sync up with the other members. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. And mostly you also see, right, different MAC addresses in the 600 VLAN, right, for example. So those are the MAC addresses of immediate MAC address of the Tor, then AGs. That's why you see some 3 to 4 MAC addresses in the STU on 600 or 500 VLAN, because all are going towards AG or the TOR side. So that port will also give the MAC address there. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. And next phenomenon is if you are not able to log into the STU itself and the STU IP is teachable, it might be an issue with your TACAX ID. It might be you might be using wrong TACAX or password, or if the status of the STU is not instantiated in RCP, you might have this problem. Or the TACAX server might be deleted from the STU. The config is not present on the STU, and those are the reasons for this issue. I think this is self-explanatory, and you can fix any of this issue by getting in touch with TACAX team or instantiating STU through RCP. And
Naresh, I think nowadays you won't get these kind of issues, right? Earlier it used to be there like account login issues. I hope now means SXC people have access, and in fact, Altiostar is also having access, right?
Yes, yes, with this particular point, I'm not aware. Pushpendra, can you comment on this?
So I don't think recently we are seeing it, Narendra, this specific issue which we spoke about, tech access issue.
No, I think the login issue is not coming.
okay. And second issue is system busy
Thanks,
issue.
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Second issue is system busy issue. This bug is almost solved because in previous version we used to get system busy issue because of a bug in the STU which is solved. But if you observe any such issues, you can report it to the Sun. We will fix it. Or you can wait after some time and you can try after logging. So this
Okay.
bug is solved. You will not face any issues. But in case if you have any such issues, you have to check whether the STU has the latest version, because the latest version of the STU doesn't report such bugs. And this is optical module cache. This is a diagrammatic expression of how to insert an SFP into the STU interface, how to remove it. So these are the procedures that is given in the link. You can go through it. And the uplink repeats down up periodically. Maybe the uplink is the ETH1 0/1 interface which is connected to the TAR. If it is not stable, you have to check the fiber, you have to check the physical link, then the interface on the STU on the TAR side logs. You have to check and troubleshoot. And you can use OTDR to check the optical part. Mostly it might be physical or logical. Other than that, there will not be any issues on the uplink. Second is the STU version and the RIM version compatibility. So this compatibility is, you can check here the compatibility of the RIM manager version and the EOS version. So these are the corresponding RIM version and the STU versions which are compatible. As you can see, the release A62 and release 1.03.007 is not compatible. So it is always best to check this compatibility. If the RRH cells goes down, or if there are any, if the RIM manager is not accessible from the STU or not. This compatibility check you can check. And how to check RIM manager version from the STU. This is the command. This is to check the STU version. To check RIM manager version, you can execute this command to check the RIM manager version. As you can see, A62 and the version is 1007. So A62 and 1.03007, which is not compatible. And these are health guidelines on the STU. These are simple documents. You can go through it. What are the different types of LED? I think it is not, but it would be better if I explain you physically, but that's anyway is not required for the SXC support. This is just for your information. And CPU checks I've already explained on the alarm part, and memory system is also explained. Temperature and SFP module, what are the particular SFP, whether it is compatible or not, how much, what is the wavelength, what type of connector, what type of vendor, and what is the normal temperature value, power, everything is listed here. You can use this command. And these I've already completed in day one, so I'll just skip through this. And okay, and there if you do slow flash, there will be two OSs. You can check if there is any mismatch in the OS using slow flash command. Normally OS 1 OS 2 should have same version. There's mismatch, then the one which is running will be the OS which will be onloaded onto the STU. And clock DNS, I've already showed this status. So this is normal. PTP port, this is again repeating. Clock sync key, this is again repeating. So these are the port reservations. So ETH1/02, as Akshay explained, it is 5G fronthaul. 3/4, it is 4G fronthaul. 5 to 7 is millimeter wave. 8 9 12 is for millimeter wave, or it is under reservation. 10 to 11 is under reserve. 13 to 15 is for sub 6, and 16 is 4G SIP-T interface, which is connected to the RIA internally. This is the port allocation. And these are the optical module information, number of optical modules which are tested, and what are the normal values that are given here. So for example, this module /1, if you say this is iSense, then the Dasan team has already tested this vendor iSense connector, and it has given recommended values for normal behavior of the optical module. This chart is quite important. You can always have reference to it. These are different types of specific values of the SFP which are used in Troubleshooting. So this is useful for you for reference values. So you can just have it. We have just included in the document what kind of SFPs which are used, what are the values. So this is the configuration overview of both 5G and 4G configuration overview. So prior to 1506, there were separate configurations for 5G and 4G. But starting from 506, we have combined 5G and 4G, so it supports single configuration for both 5G and 4G. And as you can see, this is simple Cisco config. This is for password encryption. This is host name. This is the local account. These are the different types of service that should be enabled. This is the TechAct server configuration. And this is the syslog output, the SNMP server configuration. And this is the PTP configuration, which is used. Then different types of VLANs and different types of interface configurations, which I showed. This is L2. This is PTP, mode of transport. This is for fronthaul. And this is for fronthaul 4G, what kind of configuration it is used. So these are interface configuration. And the line console. And this is the NTP CPNR IP address, which is being received. And you have this management VLAN interface, which will connect to the DHCP interface, which will contact the DNS CPNR for receiving the dynamic IP address. And this is the grounding procedure and the cabling part. This is the alarm interface. It is physically given how to connect an alarm cable, and what are the different types of consoles and the management interface which are available. This is the console, this is the management, and and that ends the document. So, you have any questions till now? Or if you want to include any other topics, do let us know. We can discuss. We have 10 minutes of time.
So sometimes we are seeing after logging in, it is very slow to respond also. So is that a non-issue, or what would be the reason?
Slow to respond. How long it takes?
So usually it will be very fast lightning speed. Otherwise, it will be around 10 to 15 seconds to log in. From there to go to the next, before reaching RIU, it takes a time.
No, you are trying from VPN or from Tor or AG?
Correct.
Which one you are?
VPN.
Have you tried from Tor? How long it takes?
No, never.
Because
So let me update on this. So there was an issue with the ICE server, which was happened recently. Because of the high load on the ICE server, the usually authorization and those things were because happening via TechX protocol over ICE server for STU. So that was the reason. Basically, it takes time to logging into the STU. That is due to the ICE server. So which they have temporarily resolved. It's not only for STO. That was also happening in getting a reports for the EPC side also, and other which were configured with the TechX or ICE server. That was one of the issue basically. And usually
Okay.
it should be quickly fast enough with respect to STU for logging or anything.
Okay, understood.
and the second question is, so you have asked why there is no host name when the RCP is instantiated, but there is no host name in the STU. It just says switch. It is because it's an OSS. It might be OSS because the host name is being sent to the INAS, and INAS sends the information config onto the STU. So it might be an OSS issue, and that's the reason why, even though the RCP says instantiated, there is no host name present on the STU.
So do you have such kind of STUs? Who has asked this question?
It was asked last time. That's why I checked.
Usually, you should not get any STU without host name. If it is there, you can do two things. You either it's not marked on here, maybe it's not commissioning is not completed, and in case if it's kind of commissioning is completed, then maybe simply you can update the same host name which was there in the RCP. Usually it should not come. If it's coming, it should can mean this issue should be observed at the TI side itself. It should not basically should go to SXC. That is my one of the understanding over this issue. But yeah, last time when there was a kind of outage, during that time many of the STUs got default config. So maybe during that interval, if you have seen, but after that, all STUs were kind of restored to their own configs. So I don't think so. Now onwards, you should see such kind of config. In case if you are seeing, the best thing is to just update the same config, because RCP, there's a host name also available in the RCP entry, and the IP address and the STU serial number also. So you can match those three and you can simply update that host name. But ideally, it should not be like that.
And the third scenario where the device registration is failure during RCP instantiation. So it might occur because when some of the STUs are manually registered, then this might be a failure on the synchronization between OSS, INAS, and STU. So you have to check, you have to instantiate only the STUs, which is no manual registration. You have to do that. And then the RCP can instantiate an STU properly. And the testing procedure for inter-VLAN routing is something currently we can't show, because in production you can either do a trace route, or you can, if you have access to the TOR or AG, you can do an initiate and ping from AG to STU or TOR to STU, or from STU to AG. Mostly from STU to AG, if they are permitted, you can do only on management VLAN. On the data VLAN, mostly it will be restricted and it will not be allowed. So that is something which we cannot do from STU side. Probably TOR or AG side can help you with the procedure.
Is this restriction from Rakuten or
Rakuten.
So if we have CLI, then we'll take permission on worst cases if it any found near future.
That is something you have to discuss with TOR and the AG team, the infra team which is managing those.
Okay, thank you.
So that's it from my side. Thank you for patiently.
Vinod, I have asked one question, like threshold levels in
Threshold levels, yes, threshold levels. I would share the threshold levels is something which is already
in
included in the
system. It is
document.
not defined. If you allow me, I will show you the screen.
Yeah, please.
You able to see my screen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is the warning alarm.
This is what I showed you, right? That values, iSense values,
That
SFPs.
is there manually, but in system it is not defined.
That is, yeah.
Minimum
It is
one.
not developed yet.
So can we expect any patch or upgradation?
It depends on the vendor of the SFP, because there are different vendors which are using SFP. So they have to modify their config. I'm not sure if they would accept the SUN request to modify their config until and unless we can record. But if it is required, then probably you can, maybe Akshay can comment on that. I don't think it is not required, because we have manually captured and given that. And,
Is it something the SUN has to do, or is it on the SFP
no, it's
vendor?
different SFP vendor only.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to coordinate with different vendors, right? Different logic has to be used. For Cisco, if you use Cisco SFP, then definitely it is going to give you all the device. Since there are different license issues with different vendors, it doesn't normally allows the STU code to fetch the information. It is something that the STU should, the SFP should provide the API interface for the STU to fetch the data. I don't think that they will
Okay,
allow.
but you are giving the vendor name, right? So what you can do in that troubleshooting document, as per the different SFP vendors, whichever are tested with STU, you can give their minimum values, whatever the values, which is
That is captured. That is already captured and given.
they can refer to that.
That is given. That tabular column is already that's what I showed you a while back.
Because they should know, right, which vendor of SFP how much receive power, because that is very important for them.
That is what I showed you in the PDF, wherein we have different values, vendor values of the SFPs. What are the normal values in the tabular column?
Okay.
Yeah, if we have not configured in STU, we won't be getting alarm notifications, warning or alarm. Like in TOR, we used to get low RX power alarms. Mm.
Yeah, that I will share you the details. You can check it. No,
Thank you.